Hi there, it's Roy Breton here from GardenEquipmentReview.com. Today I want to carry out a review of the Etesia Hydro 80 mower. This is a machine that I used to own. Great little mower. It was basically, prior to this I was using a very similar machine from Etesia, the Bahia. When I brought the Bahia, the Hydro 80 wasn't available, but the Hydro 80 is just a slightly heavier duty model than what the Etesia Bahia is. So if you're contracting, I would definitely recommend the Hydro 80 with the slightly stronger build quality. I'll go through everything as I go through some slides in a minute. The price of the Hydro 80, now this is the list price, so you probably get a better deal at an Etesia dealer, is £5,850 plus VAT. I had the larger engine one with a Kawasaki 16 horsepower twin engine, very good engine. The smaller one, or not smaller, the cheaper one, not quite so heavy duty, the Bahia, is £5,150, so about about £700 cheaper. £700 cheaper. So but I would definitely go for, if you're contracting, I'd definitely go for the Hydro 80. Just gives you a bit more. The Bahia is still good, but the Hydro 80 just gives a bit more, and I would definitely say it's worth the extra cost. So let's start look at the slides. So the reason I had purchased the Etesia in the first place was I was using two walk behind roller rotary mowers, 22-inch models, and the problem I had was the collection of wet grass. As we know, if you're contracting, many times you're probably, more often than not, you're cutting damp grass. Might just be from a heavy dew or from the rain the night before or something, but very often you are cutting wet grass. I didn't particularly want a ride-on mower because of the manoeuvrability issue. However, the Etesia is very manoeuvrable, and it's got a great system for cutting wet grass. As you can see here, the side-on view goes straight up the chute, quite a large chute for the size of the mower, which is 32 inches, 80 centimeters, and blows it into this 240 litre box. That certainly saved me a lot of time. Basically, instead of having two people cut the grass, I could cut the grass on my own with one machine and achieve more in that time. So it was a good investment for me. So let's move on to the next slide. Here the Etesia is cutting slightly rougher grass, slightly more sort of paddock type grass. I didn't purchase mine for this type of cutting. I purchased it more for lawn cutting, which I think it's more suited for. Obviously it will do this type of cutting, but if you're doing this cutting all the time, I'd probably go for one of the slightly heavier Etesias. But as it says here, there's anti-scalp rollers. I had a caster wheels on each side. Looks like they've done away with those, probably because the anti-scalp rollers do the job. There's a blade clutch, electric blade clutch, and brake. So I always used to, you can engage the cutter deck at tick over and disengage it at tick over, just saves a bit of wear and tear. So let's go to the next slide. Another one of it cutting. Now on mine, I had a little roller fitted, which isn't made by Etesia. It's made by an engineering firm. But basically it enabled me to give that striped finish that so many customers like, and I like to see it. The roller was just lowered down. And you could had a little lever up here that lowered it. The only thing it did do was it slightly restricted if you were going up steep slopes, but that was rarely a problem for me, to be fair. So here you can see the built-in grass box, 240 litres. So quite a sizable box. I think the on my walk behind mowers, the box was about 70 litres. So a considerable sized box. You can you're not emptying continually unless the grass is long. There's a lever on the side. I think some of them may be fitted with electric emptying, but I had a lever on mine, and I think this particular model is still hand, but it's very easy to unload the machine. There's no getting off the machine. There are some manufacturers, I don't know why they do it, where you have 2 or 3 bags on the back and you have to get off the machine to empty it. I wouldn't recommend anyone buying a machine like that. It's not a good practice. Once you're sitting on a ride-on mower, you don't want to have to keep getting off. So the Etesia solves that problem. Here, another picture, efficient and go anywhere. Compact design, measuring 1.98 by 0.82 meters wide. So we'll go through most garden gates, get into most places. I've been all sorts of places. I used to put mine on a small trailer, fitted on there perfectly, and worked well. And one of the reasons why I didn't want a ride-on was because of the maneuverability issue. Some ride-ons can be a bit cumbersome, but the Etesia's got a very good turning circle, so it's the next best thing to having a walk behind mower, and of course you don't have to walk, which is good, and also leaves a very good finish for a ride-on. Let's move on to the next slide. Another one of the kind of close up against the wall. I wouldn't say the deck overhangs a fraction, but you've got a very good viewing position from when you're sitting on the mower, so you can see obstacles and what have you. Here you've got a side-on view of the mower. Now I'm 6 foot tall, so you can see here from the operator that he's got plenty of leg room. The seat does go back and forward a little bit, so you're not, despite it being a compact mower, it's not really, there is plenty of leg room. And here you've got the door that gives you access to the blade. Underneath there's 2 shear bolts, so if you hit a hard object, rather than do any damage, the shear bolts break. Now these can be easily replaced. Always used to keep shear bolts in stock, because you never know what you always find the unexpected when you're contracting. Also on the blade, it's just one single blade here, but there's some lifters on the blade that do wear after constant use, so you can just replace the lifters without replacing the whole blade. It's important to have good undamaged lifters, because otherwise you don't get that draft to blow your grass up the chute and into the box. So let's move to the next slide. Here you've got a good view of the machine. You can see it in full almost. You've got the cutting adjuster here, handbrake there, fuel tank there. You can see the fuel at a glance. And then on the other side, on my machine, you could empty the grass box, a long lever, which has kind of had a little hydraulic cylinder, a manual hydraulic cylinder, just to make lifting up the box easier. All done from the seat, which is good. So there is a built-in shock absorber as well, lights if you need them. Can't remember how effective they were, but I didn't often cut in the dark. Now here you can see a hose connector. This is good for clearing out your deck, giving it a good clean when sort of grass gets encrusted on there. Simply attach your hose, turn on the tap, engage the cutter deck clutch, and it will clean all your mower deck out and the chute, and keep everything running smoothly. Here you can see a side view. Now obviously it's a very compact machine. You've got the engine, etc., battery, and the drive. It's like I said, there's not a lot of room in there, but I managed to get my hands in there to change belts and what have you. All the belts are self-tightening, and I didn't replace the belts very often, to be fair. But I managed to get to them all. Easy access to the battery. You can check the oil from under the seat, which is all straightforward. Panels just push on and off easily. There's some little screw type fittings here where you just undo and it unclips to expose the battery. So steering wheel knob, and then you've got some controls here for the lights, hour meter, and etc. And if you have the electric opening box or collector. Then I believe there's a switch here, and I think they may have put the drive for the clutch, the blade clutch here as well. So here, slightly out of view, there's two pedals. So the mower has hydrostatic transmission. Most ride-on mowers today don't have a gearbox or clutch. There are some of the cheaper ones do, but most of them what we call hydrostatic drive, so it's almost like automatic transmission. No clutch, no gearbox, you just one pedal for reverse, one pedal for forward, and you've got variable speed in forward and reverse. So makes the machine really easy to use. If you come to some thick grass, you just slow the machine down. If the grass is easy and straightforward to cut, you can go the maximum speed. So it's a very efficient way of driving a mower. Another side on view, you can see the two pedals there, a little bit clearer and so forth. Another view here, got the classic Etesia steel frame. This is the main sort of structure of it, I suppose you could say. Obviously there's more structure where it holds the engine on. Now on the front here, on the Bahia machine, that's this is like on this machine it's a cast iron axle, but on the Bahia it's more of a machined one. Now because I was using my machine for contracting on the Bahia, I did get a bit of wear and tear. However, when I purchased the Hydro 80, and mine had done quite a few hours, I didn't have any signs of wear on the axle. So this is kind of like a plus point for buying the Hydro 80 if it's going to get a lot of use. You've also got upgraded hydrostat, which not quite sure what the difference is, but I know it's a slightly heavier duty one for a longer life, which is good. Another side view, you can see the easily just the one catch there to open the door, spring loaded, so if the catch comes undone it still stays closed. Move on to the next one. A front view, you can see the anti-sculpt rollers to stop the mower sculpting, or the deck sculpting. Throttle here, the collector lever here. There is a mulcher on the machine. I tried it. To be fair, I didn't buy the machine for mulching. I brought it for collecting, so it wasn't something I really needed, but I did try it. It may be different now. I didn't particularly like it, and that wasn't a problem because I brought the mower to collect, not to mulch. But the mulching may have improved, like many things have improved over the years. Here it's got the mower mowing some taller grass. Now it looks the grass looks nice and dry here, and to be fair, I've cut long grass with the Hydro 80, but this sort of length of grass would probably be the maximum I'd cut practically. On this picture you can see they've got the deflector on for very tall grass. Now you can take the bottom out of the collector, so the grass blows up the chute and then just falls out and is left evenly. Something like what I liked about the Etesia, despite cutting that long grass, is actually making quite a good job. It certainly does cut well. Here you've got a snow plough. Not a lot of use for that in this part of the UK, but not sure how effective that would be. It looks as though it's coping all right there in the picture. I think you just missed one there. Yep, a scarifier. Once again, something I haven't used, but I'm all for having a power unit that you can utilise. So this is something that can be used for your lawn. It looks like you've got adjustment here for various conditions, which is useful. Once again, I haven't tried it, so I can't comment too much. A fertilizer spreader and lawn spreader, and grass seed, whatever you want to put in it, and salt apparently. This would need the tow bar option, which is definitely a useful option. I didn't have a tow bar on mine, but I think it's a good option to add on. There is a trailer, which I think is on the next slide. No, we've got a mulcher, a sweeper here. Once again, something that I didn't know was available until recently, and something that I haven't tried, but another another option for your Hydro 80. And here we have the trailer, which is great for the garden. So once again, like, you need the tow bar, but probably worth having fitted, and it can pull up to 500 kilograms, which is half a ton, so a reasonable amount of weight, to be fair. And we're back to the first slide. So so go to the price list here. Hydro 80. Now there are various different versions, one with a diff lock. I would definitely recommend the Kawasaki 16 horsepower engine. It is the larger engine, and I certainly never found it underpowered. Plenty of power, but I always think you're better off to have something overpowered than underpowered. There are some, actually it looks like on the Hydro 80 they're all Kawasaki engines on this price list, but there are a few variations there. With the Bahia, you can see there's a Honda engine, Briggs & Stratton, and there's the Kawasaki option, which once again I would go for. So that's all the prices there. Once again, these are list prices, so I'm sure Etesia do deals, but I will put the links in the description area and into a blog post which I will write regarding this video. If you've got any questions, please feel free to leave any comments. Thanks for watching.